Good evening. Welcome to this amazing series, special Q&A with Rabbi Rahimi on your submitted questions. This is being presented by the Chazaq organization and Torah Anytime. And everyone should tune in live right here at TorahAnytime.com/Chazaq2/CHAZAQ, the number 2, 8 p.m. right here. And you can email us your question at events@chazaq.org. Your question, don't be embarrassed. Email us your question, whether on any topic, and that will be addressed right here. Email us events@chazaq.org. And on that note, I want to actually start with the first question. Is a question about to encourage people to ask questions. So we know that the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos says, "Lo habaishan melamed." Somebody who's embarrassed, they're not going to learn. So I want to, if you could just, I think it's what else this whole series is about the foundations of Judaism. So one of the foundations that you're never going to learn anything, or you're too embarrassed. So if you could just touch upon this in a general sense, and also specifically in this series, that if people don't submit questions, then the series isn't going to continue. It's not going to have an impact it's supposed to.
Okay, thank you so much, Rabbi. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, Nathan, for coming. So to answer your question, I want to start off that you make it sound as if nobody's sending questions. People are sending questions, all right? Yes, right?
Yes, there's so many questions.
Very good. People are sending questions, but we want more questions. We want unlimited amount of questions. So how do you tell a person not to be shy to send questions? The answer is like this. Every person in this world has his part of Torah. Every person in this world has his chelik in the Torah. Whatever portion of Torah information that you can grab and you can inquire and introduce to the world, nobody else in the world can bring it down. Every single person, that's what we daven. V'ten chalkenu b'toratecha. Please give us our share in the Torah. Whatever you can introduce to the world with Torah information, even Chacham Ovadia Yosef Zichrono Livracha was not able to bring it down. So much that the Sefer Chasidim brings down a person who unfortunately does not really fulfill his mission the way he was supposed to and fulfills potential of learning Torah the way he was supposed to. After 120, when he goes to Shamayim, one of the things Hashem is going to tell him is, what happened to the divrei Torah you're supposed to introduce to the world? You were the inventor of X amount of divrei Torah to the world, and you did not bring it down, you did not learn enough. And says the Sefer Chasidim, that's a little bit of a level of gezel, of stealing, because you stole the information from making it public to the world, the divrei Torah that you were supposed to introduce. So why shouldn't a person be a baishan? You should know that you're not a guest when it comes to learning Torah. Torah is yours. You have a portion in it just as much as the greatest leaders of the world ever had in the Torah. Just as much the Torah was theirs and they learned, the Torah is the same thing. It belongs to you, to every single Jew that wants to learn Torah. So why shouldn't you be shy? Because it's yours. It's your home. You're not new at this. You're not a guest at this. This is who you are. You're a person that's supposed to learn Torah, and the Torah was giving for you to learn and for you to grow. How do you start growing? By asking questions. The famous thing in school was, whoever doesn't ask questions never is going to learn. A person always has to ask questions. The biggest rabbis, I could tell you many stories about them. When they were younger, they weren't top kids in the school, in the class, and they really pushed, and they pushed, and they pushed, and they became great Talmidei Chachamim. In fact, there's one Gadol Hador right now, who's the Gadol Hador of the generation. Everybody knows, there's famous stories about him. When he was younger, he wasn't the smartest guy in the class, but his father was makpid to learn with him every single day. Every single day, even when he got married, even when he already had grandchildren, they sat and they learned every single day, and this son became the Gadol Hador. If you want to know who this Gadol Hador was, email us, I'll tell you. But there's many stories of people that pushed and they asked and they reached really high levels in Judaism. So if you have any question on your head, don't be embarrassed to ask, don't be shy to ask, because there's answers to everything and it's all for your own benefit. Good. Okay,
so with that amazing encouragement, we're actually going to go to one of the questions that someone submitted. So someone submitted a question, but I'm going to give a little introduction. Into this question. So I heard amazing share from Charlie Harari, and he said that sometimes we view like our relationship with Hashem or tefillah davening to Hashem, it's like Amazon spiritual shopping. It's like, okay, like we need stuff and like God, Hashem needs stuff. Like, okay, what do we need? We need parnasa, we need shidduchim, and then more parnasa wouldn't hurt. And what does Hashem need? Okay, we think, okay, he needs me to eat certain things, he needs some Hebrew words me to say, different stuff like that. So like we say, like sometimes like we don't get answered in our prayers, and we say like, okay, like what do you mean? Like Amazon, they deliver overnight, and Hashem can't answer us right away. So the person's question they asked us was, why doesn't Hashem answer our prayers right away?
Okay, beautiful question. For whoever sent it in, beautiful question, $1 million question. The answer is like this: prayer is not about asking for something. Prayer is about connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When we daven, we don't daven in order to get something. Davening is a tool to get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem sometimes is monea us. Hashem sometimes does not give us something in order for us to ask Him for that item. Let's say you want a very nice car. Let's say you want a car. Hashem is not going to give you that car sometimes in order for you to ask Him for the car. In order for you to connect with Hashem, Hashem wants you to speak to Him. Hashem wants you to pray to Him and connect with Him and connect with Him. How does Hashem do that sometimes? Not every person. How does Hashem do that? By not giving you things and eventually giving it to you when you keep on praying and you keep on praying. The point of davening is not asking for something, but rather becoming someone. Who's that someone? A person who's close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So that could be one answer why sometimes a person doesn't get his results right away. The Midrash gives another answer. Midrash says that sometimes, chas v'shalom, a person can have a gzera on him, can have a bad decree on him, chas v'shalom, and he has to push harder, he has to sweat more, he has to put more of an effort, he has to daven to Hashem more, and eventually that's going to break the ice, and Hashem will bring him the Yeshua. Another answer I can give, Rabotai, is sometimes, let's say my little daughter, let's say she's asking me for something. We're good? Yeah. Okay. Let's say sometimes my little daughter, right? She's asking for something. Let's say it's 10 o'clock at night. She wants candy. She says, Abba, I want candy. Day, I want candy. What do I tell her? I tell her no. She's like, but I want candy. I tell her no. You're not getting candy. The kids are asking, the kids are begging their fathers, but the father answers no for the benefit of the children. Sometimes, Rabotai, I know it's easier said than done, but sometimes a person can be asking for something. Again, and it happens to me too. Again and again and again and again and again and again. We say, Hashem, please give it to us. Hashem, please give it to us. And Hashem is looking and says, I'm listening. Don't think I'm not listening, but the answer is no. Why is the answer no? For your own benefit. One day you're going to see the whole picture. Our job is to keep on davening. But at the same time, we got to have emunah that Hashem knows what He's doing. Chas v'shalom, you don't want to beg for something that you don't really shouldn't get, and it can chas v'shalom mess you up in the future. Person, of Shlomo Amar Shlita said in one of his speeches that his father, and he always teaches his talmidim, when you ask for something specific, let's say for a zivug, let's say a person davens for a zivug to find his, in English, soulmate, as they call it. Let's see he davens, let's see he's dating a certain girl. So somebody asks him, is he allowed to say in his prayer, Hashem, can you make this date work out? I like this girl. Can you make this date work out? Says of Shlomo Amar, chas v'shalom, for a person to speak like that to Hashem. Chas v'shalom, to daven for such a thing, because you don't know if this girl is right for you. Just because you feel it's right now, you don't know what you're talking about. You know if it's your zivug. You want to make sure you marry your zivug. Don't daven for something that's not yours. Don't daven for something that you don't want it to happen to you and you're going to regret it in the future. How do you daven? You say, Hashem, this is what Shlomo Amar said. You say, Hashem, if this girl is right for me right now it feels it is. If she's right for me, please give me siyata d'shmaya, give me atzlacha, it should work out. If she's not for me, stop the date right away. But never say, Hashem, I want to marry that girl. I once said this on one of the Torah time classes, and then somebody gave me a call about he has an aunt who lives in Eretz Yisrael. Okay, this person told me the story. It's a person from Borough Park. He has an aunt who lives in Israel. This girl, she was dating a guy from Israel, and she liked him. But the parents were telling her, I don't think it's a shidduch. But they kept on dating, and the parents are warning her, I don't think this is your guy. But she says, I love this guy. I like him. Eventually, he stopped dating, meaning the guy that she was dating, he said, I don't want to continue dating this girl. She went to the kotel, the aunt went to the kotel at that time, and she started crying to Hashem by the kotel, Hashem, I want to marry this guy. I know he's the right guy for me. I know he's the right. And she was davening, and eventually they actually got engaged. They started dating again, and they got engaged to the guy she liked, and they got married. but the ending is not good. It should never happen to anybody, okay? Unfortunately, the ending is very messy to this day. Very, very, very messy. And the ant, this older ant, tells her whole family, do not make the same mistake I made. Don't say, I want this specific thing. You don't know if it's good for you. Say, Hashem, I think it's good for me, but you know what's best. Please give me what's best for me. The point of davening is to get close to Hashem. Keep on davening, but don't think you got the whole picture. Don't think you can start telling Hashem what's right or wrong for you. Just keep on davening and grow your relationship with Hashem. Always keep on davening.
Okay, powerful. And I'm going to read right now a special question that someone submitted. They said here, I wanted to know if a person used to, maybe they didn't look at things that they were supposed to, and now they're having not appropriate thoughts. And whenever they're praying, they're doing a mitzvah, these thoughts come into their head. And so they said, should a person not do a mitzvah or daven or pray because in their minds they're not having kavanah and they're thinking maybe the Yitzhar is making them not think appropriately. So what would you say about that? And maybe just to generalize it a little bit more, maybe if not everyone's in that category, but let's say just in general, let's say like our minds is always rushing. And there's like a joke. It's like someone's in Shmona Esrei, and then after they once they end Shmona Esrei, they're supposed to, like, maybe they should say like Tfiras Haderech. It's like a joke. Obviously, it's not true, but like just because like their mind like okay, like, oh, they were in France because they had a business deal there, and like whatever it is, like they just traveled like 3 times around the world. So let's say, like, can you just also touch upon about having kavana in davening?
Okay, thank you so much for that beautiful question. What does a person do if unfortunately he messed up, he tripped, he failed, he was not able to control his eyes? Does he keep on davening or not? So, it's a very sad question, Rabbi. I'll be honest with you. It's a very sad question. It bothers me very much. Okay, I'll be honest. Whoever asked the question obviously is a tzaddik or a tzaddikah. Beautiful question. You have guts for asking such a question. That means you care to ask. If you ask, that means you care about getting close like Kadosh Baruch Hu. But the reason why it saddens me, I feel bad about the question, is because for a person to even have a havamina, to even cross his mind or her mind, to think that you should not keep on davening and not keep on learning because you didn't watch your eyes. If you read the Sfarim Megdashim, if you read the books, you see how much Hashem does not believe in that. Hashem specifically says, no matter how many averot a person does, the last thing you want to do is to stop learning Torah and stop doing mitzvot. That's the Yetzirah's goal. The Yetzirah's goal is to make you think that you should not be continuing doing mitzvot and Torah. But the opposite is true. Even when a person does averot, and don't get me wrong, averot are horrible and they do a lot of damage and there's work to do to fix it. Okay? Oh, okay. Sorry. But even a person does averot, okay? No matter what, you should always keep on learning Torah and doing mitzvot. It should never cross your mind to stop learning or stop doing so when you're doing averot. Always get up and keep on fighting. In fact, the Ramchal says, what's the difference between a tzaddik and a rasha? What is the difference between a righteous person and a wicked person? Says the Ramchal, righteous people, even when they did mess up, even when they did trip and did averot here and there, they knew how to get up from the averot. They know how to move on. Not to fall for the Yitzhak's trap, to keep on, sitting on the floor crying about the sins that you did. Rashaim, evil people, unfortunately never became Rashaim, wicked, overnight. It took them time to eventually become wicked. They said, listen, I don't have a shot. Hashem doesn't care about me anymore. I already did averot. What's the point of moving on? I didn't watch my eyes. What's the point of learning? That's the wrong way how to think. That's the crooked way how to think. And eventually a person who thinks like that is not going to respect himself. He's not going to serve Hashem. And it will go lower and lower and lower in spirituality. And eventually he becomes wicked. That's what Ramchal says. So how does a tzaddik become a tzaddik? When he learns how to move on. You did an avera, horrible, do teshuvah, but move on. Always keep on learning Torah. So the practical answer is, never stop learning, never stop davening. Now, if you want an eitzah, if you want a suggestion how to take away those thoughts, the Sfarim Kedushim say, looking at tzaddikim helps. Just like, unfortunately, your eyes watch improper things, Now take your eyes and watch proper things. Look at Gedolim pictures. Right now, with the phones, there's a lot of pictures of Gedolim, of big tzaddikim, Chaim Kanievsky, Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef, Chacham Ovadia. There's a lot of tzaddikim, of videos of watching them, or watching them learn. Or go to yeshiva. Go to yeshiva, do in the morning, leave your work, go to a packed yeshiva, where a lot of bachrim are sitting and learning Torah, and let your ears hear the divrei Torah. See the bachrim learning Torah, going like this over a Gemara. Or watch a big tzaddik giving a shir. Utilize your eyes for good things. Just like unfortunately you watch bad things and they may affect in your neshama, how much more so when your eyes watches good things like Torah and tzaddikim, it's going to make an effect in your neshama to purify your mind that those bad thoughts are never going to come back while you're davening. So keep on controlling your eyes. Always learn Torah. Never think to stop learning. No matter what affair you did, that's the last thing you want to do is stop doing mitzvot. Always keep on going. What the suggestion is, always look at tzaddikim, try to look at Gedolim videos, the Bezat Hashem, that would erase the bad thoughts. What was the other question?
The other question was sometimes, whether it's in the Amidah, Shmona Esrei, whatever it is, whether just in that or just in general, when you daven, when you pray, how do you focus on what you're doing? Like, meaning that you shouldn't, okay, now I'm thinking about WhatsApp, and now I'm thinking about my business, my class, whatever it is. Focus on where you are. What's some tips for making your davening count? And then your kavanah in the davening.
The kavanah in davening. Okay, so first of all, there's a lot of halachot when it comes to hilchos kavanah. To say that 1 foot on a regel achat is hard. But there's a lot of kavanot. Oh, the Shulchan Aruch. Oh, okay, fine. Yeah, there's a lot of halachot that we have in Shulchan Aruch when it comes to kavanah. I want to say something very practical right away from Chacham Ovadia Yosef. Don't overwhelm yourself when it comes to having kavanah davening. When I was younger, by the way, I had this thing. I would have like 3 sidurim in front of me. Kavanah Havalev, and then art school, and the other ones were all the pirushim. What happens is you're good for like a month or two, but after that, it's just too much. It's too much. And a lot of times, if you notice, a lot of big rabbis, when you watch them daven Shemona Esrei, they actually have a short Shemona Esrei. They're not there for an hour davening. There are some tzaddikim that have long ones, but there are many that I've seen, big Reish Yeshivas, who don't have long Shemona Esreis. In fact, we sometimes have even longer than them. Why is that? The answer is because they know halacha. They know the halacha of kavanah. What is the laws of kavanah? The Shulchan Aruch said. The halacha is you have to know pirush hamilim. Pirush hamilim is you have to know the translation of the words. Try your best to review or to look at the art school siddur before and try to understand the most of whatever you could, the translation of the words. That's what a person needs to know. If you're able to even do that, half a Shemona Esrei, that's a big home run. Build on that, but focus on one mission. What's my mission? I have to know what I'm even saying. Don't start with this Kabbalah stuff where you're not ready for it. Kavanat Shem Hashem, Haya, Hovev, yeah, too much. If you're able to do that, Kol HaKavod. But before that, what does the words Baruch Atah Hashem mean? Even just the words, Baruch Atah Hashem, blessed are you Hashem. There's so many meanings to that. You have to know the regular Pashut, regular translation of the words. So get yourself an art school siddur, whatever book it is, and make yourself 5 minutes a day trying to understand what are the words that I'm reading in Shemona Esrei. That is what kavanah is. So if a person who wants to have kavanah, again, try not to grab too much, not to have too much kavanah, focus on the basics, and that's a translation that will help you out a lot. Now, there is a tip that the Achronim bring down, a practical tip. Let's see, in the middle of Shemona Esrei, and you're spacing out, you're thinking about sports, politics, whatever it is. So Shulchan Aruch gives a tip. He says, feed your Yetzer Hara. What does it mean feed him? You tell the Yetzer Hara, imagine you're diving like this, and you're thinking about, Donald Trump, okay, fine. Okay, you're thinking about Donald Trump, and then says the Shulchan Aruch, you know what you do? You tell your mind, okay, go. Play the scenario in your mind. What do you want to think about, huh? Go, keep on going. Says the Shulchan Aruch, watch within 2 seconds, be like, okay, you know what, I don't care, it's not important, never mind. You're going to keep it to your kavanah. That's the Shulchan Aruch, because it's the Yetzer Hara trying to nudge you to space out. So you can tell the Yetzer Hara, fine, what do you want? You want me to play this whole scenario? Let's go for it. And then Yetzer Hara just turns around and runs away. That's what Shulchan Aruch says. That's how you can have kavanah. Second thing the Mishnah Brewer brings out. Second thing is, from the Shla Kodesh. If a person, if you're spacing on the Shemona Esrei, you go, I know it sounds silly, okay? But don't really spit, but make believe as if you're spitting. That's what the Shla brings on. Go 3 times. When you do that, tap your forehead and you go 2, but don't really spit. Wow, oh boy, how much that works. You know how many times I use that? It's like magic, literally like magic. When you do that, your Baruch Hashem, your kavanah is going to come back. So 2 things. Either the Shulchan Aruch suggestion, that let the scenario play in your mind and watch how you beat the Yetzer Hara, you're going to go straight into kavanah. You're going to see how sketched it is, how fake it is. Or what the Mishabur brings down, don't really spit, but tap your forehead 3 times and make believe as if you're spitting. That kavanah is going to come back, B'ezrat Hashem. But the main thing is none of these tricks. The main thing is life is serious. Praying is serious. Person has to put time to understand what it means to pray in the translation of the words. There's no shortcuts. You want to have real kavanah, you got to learn the halachot and you have to know what you're reading.
Okay, very practical. I think we'll stop here for tonight. There's so many questions. There's so many questions which we could really get to, but that's why you have to leave people with some taste for. They have to tune in next week. That's why we have the series every Monday night right here. TorahAnytime.com/Chazaq 2 CHAZAQ 2 at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, and email us your questions. That's what we had a big.
Don't be shy. Don't be
as
shy.
As you explained beautifully, that you shouldn't be embarrassed. The only way you're gonna learn is if you ask. So email us your questions to events@chazaq.org, EVENTSCHAZAQ.org. Have a great night.